Hello everyone, my name is Johan Gladson and welcome back to my channel Joe's Learning. In this video we will be discussing about formal letter writing. So without any further ado, let's get started. First of all, what exactly are letters? Well, my dear friends, letters are basically written message conveyed from one person to another through post. Its major use is to convey messages in written format. There are two types of letters. The first type is known as formal letters. Formal letters are the type of letters which you use a serious tone in it, which are usually you send to your teachers, to your principal of your school, to your company, or to your boss. The second type of letters is informal letter. Informal letter is the type of letter which you would usually send to your parents, your relatives, your friends. So basically you send an informal letter to a person who you understand well and who is very close to you. So basically in informal letters you use like casual language in it, while in formal letters you use a serious tone and in a formal language. Now let us discuss more about formal letters. First, we will be discussing more about the features which should be always included in formal letter writing. First of all, you should always keep in mind that while writing formal letter, you should write in full sentences, and those sentences should have correct grammar and vocabulary. Another feature of formal letters is that when you're writing formal letters, you should never use contractions. What are contractions? Well, contractions is the shortened form of two words where some letters are omitted. And in the place of those omitted letters, you use an apostrophe. For example, I wouldn't, I can't, I didn't, I hadn't, and I haven't. But in formal letter, none of this is possible. And thus in formal letter, you should instead use I would not, I did not, I could not, I have not, and so on. Another basic feature is that you should never use an idiom while writing a formal letter. Well, basically idioms are certain expressions that you use in English instead of the real thing. For example, sometimes when you're sick, you may tell to your friend informally that I'm feeling under the weather. But when you're writing to your boss or your teacher, formally, you will never include these kind of expressions. Another rule which should be included in formal letter writing is that never have phrasal verbs included in it. Well, basically, phrasal verbs are a verb plus a preposition or an adverb. For example, go out, go down, go up, and so on. For example, if you want to write go up, like the prices have gone up. Instead of that, you'll write the prices have increased. The next feature of writing in formal letters is that you should never include an exclamation mark when you are writing a formal letter. And yet another feature of this in formal letters is that you should always write the formal equivalent of a certain word. For example, when you want to say attach, but that's informal. So the formal equivalent of that is you should instead say in your formal letter, I have enclosed a certain file in this. Another feature which you should always keep in mind is that you should never include an abbreviation while you are writing an informal letter, and instead of it, include the full form in your formal letter. Sometimes you may say to your friend like, I want that package ASAP. But when you're writing a formal letter, you can't at all use that kind of words. You instead use as soon as possible, the full form of that word. So another feature of writing in formal letters is that you should never at all use any imperative sentences in your formal letter. Now let us discuss the format of writing a formal letter. So there are 8 parts of a formal letter. The first part is writing the sender's details, that is the sender's name and address. If you are the one writing the letter, then you should write there your name and your address. Then comes the date. The date's format is like, for example, 24th December 2021. Usually while you're writing formal letters, you write the dates in this format. The third part of a formal letter is the receiver's details, that is the receiver's name and address. For example, if you are sending this formal letter to your teacher, then you will write your teacher's name and your teacher's address. After that comes the salutation of the formal letter. The salutation will be, if you don't know that certain person's name, it will be dear sir or madam. But if you know the person's name, then you can write dear Mr. and then put the name of that certain person if he's a male, and dear Miss and then put the first name of that certain person if she is a female. Then comes the subject line. The subject line will specify in short what your letter really is about, like the topic of your letter and the reason why you're sending the letter. The subject line is very important because the reader of the letter can read the subject line and understand what the letter is about and decide whether to continue reading or just stop it and just continue with his daily work. Then comes the body of the letter. The body of the letter is divided into 4 different paragraphs. The first paragraph is the introductory paragraph. In this paragraph, you specify the purpose of even writing this letter, and it gives a brief introduction to your topic. Then comes main paragraph. The main paragraph will give more information about the introductory paragraph. Then comes the conclusion paragraph. This conclusion paragraph will summarize your topic and summarize all what you said in a short way. Then comes the pre-ending paragraph. In this paragraph, you give your final thought and also thank the reader for reading your letter. Then comes the complimentary closure of your letter. If you know the person, you'll write the complimentary closure as yours sincerely. But if you don't know the person at all who you're sending the letter to, you will instead use the complimentary closure, yours faithfully. And then comes the name and sign. And if you want, you can also include the designation in the letter. As I have discussed the format of a formal letter, now I will be discussing about the layout of a formal letter. First, on the top right corner, you have to write the sender's details, that is the sender's name and address. Then on the next line, you should write the date in British format. And then after leaving a line on the left corner, you have to write the receiver's details, that is the receiver's name and address. And then after leaving a line, you should write the salutation of your formal letter. That is, dear sir or dear madam, or for example, dear Mr. Smith or dear Miss Jane. And after that, you should give a comma and then leave another line and write the subject of your letter. That is the reason why you're writing the letter. Then comes the body of the letter. The body consists of 4 paragraphs. First, you have to write the introductory paragraph, which gives a brief introduction to the topic. Then comes the paragraph which contains the main content, and then comes the conclusion paragraph. And then lastly comes the pre-ending statement or a pre-ending paragraph in which you thank the reader for reading your letter and also give your final thought. Then, after leaving another line, you have to write the complimentary closure of your letter, which could be yours faithfully, yours sincerely, and so on. After that, you have to write your name and your signature. And you can also include your designation at the end of the letter. And that was the layout of a formal letter. So I hope you guys understood more about formal letters. That is the basic features which are always included in formal letters, the format and the layout. So if you like this video, please press the like button and also subscribe to my channel for more interesting videos.